Welcome to howtopam. Let's talk Linux, the channel where we promote professional computing with free open source software. And we're helping FOSS users find the answers. This video is a revised and updated LibreCAD Beginner's tutorial. Okay, if you will go and open up your LibreCAD application, as I am done here, you'll probably, if you check under help here, about, you'll probably see the version number here is 213. Okay, and that's a release that that is in most Linux distro repositories, and it was first released some years ago, and it has had regular updates, but LibreCAD is due for a new major release, and it will be coming out sometime in the near future. Okay, so once we've opened up our LibreCAD application, again, you will notice these buttons all along here. You may have seen them before. If not, you will see them here. This is your layers list, and you have the ability to work with your layers here. And every drawing is built in layers, just like any image or photograph that you might make in a image editing program like GIMP. You do working on layers, and CAD systems are no different. Different layers for different portions of the drawing. Okay, so first thing we want to notice is your tools are all over here. Okay, and there is a little icon here that kind of describes what the tools are. This would be lines, this would be circles. Here we've got some splines and freehand drawing and stuff, and here we've got ellipses, and here we have polylines. Here is your tools for selection and stuff like that, and your dimensions are here. This one is for modifying tools, so if you open this up, you'll see a whole bunch of tools for modifying different objects on your drawing. This is just a measurement device. Here is your text device. Here is your hatches for coloring in areas of flat surfaces. This can be used to insert an image, and this one here is for creating blocks, and there is a video on creating blocks that howtopam has. You can have a look for that video. It's already up on the YouTube channel. If you look at these top buttons here, you will see that there's some widgets and dock areas, and it's telling you these are the docks here. Okay, so it's telling us here that the dock area is on the right now. That's the right over here. It's telling me which widgets I've had checked. So I've got the block list, and the command line, and the layer list, and the library browser, but I could have more checked here. But here is the layer list, and here's the block list, and here's the library, and here's the command line. Okay, and so you want to turn them on or off, you would do that from this area here. We can actually, if we take the layer list, there, you see it's gone. Now, no problem, we just add the layer list back. Okay, and here it is here. Okay, simple as that. Now, when you start drawing, you'll want to get used to these tools down here. These are your snaps, and you see it opened with the default on free snap, but this is snap on grid, and the grid is these little dots you've got right here. If you zoom way in, you can see these are the little dots of your grid. So if we were there, if we put snap on grid on, then when we're trying to draw a line, it will snap on each of these little dots here. Okay, Now this is snap on the end of a line. This is snap on an entity, so that's on a portion of a line. And here's snap to the center, and snap to middle, and snap distance, and snap on intersection. These tools here will hold your line horizontal or vertical, or restricted in an orthogonal position. Okay, so you will get used to these snaps, and they will become your friend, because without using the snaps, your line could easily be out at least the distance of the line itself. By using the snaps, it'll be dead on accurate all the time. Okay, so let's go to option button here, and you'll notice there are application preferences. If we open that up, you will see here that this is all the settings for this LibreCAD application, the default settings. You'll notice that the background is set here at a gray. You could change that color if you like. Okay, the grid color is set at a black. There's black dots. You could change that if you like. If you change the background color, you'll want to change the grid color. So you can fix up all these settings here and customize it the way you want. But if you're just starting with LibreCAD, you may want to stay with your default settings. Okay, and you can see here some more defaults is millimeter. You could change that if you wanted. If you're working in a standard instead of metric, you might want to choose inches or something. We'll leave it in millimeter for now. And auto save. It auto saves your drawing every 5 minutes here. Okay, you could change that if you like. Okay, so there's not too much we want to change in here, because the default here is gray, and we're going to stay with gray. Okay, but under this options button as well is the current drawing settings. Now those last settings were for the whole LibreCAD application, but these settings are just for this drawing we're going to do today. Now, we don't need to mess with too many of these today. You'll get familiar with them later on. We can change all our settings another way, and we will as we go along. The thing you want to make sure right now is that you're using the A4 paper, which is a standard letter size paper, and you're in the landscape position. Okay? And note here that this A4 paper has a width of 297 millimeters and a height of 210 millimeters. Okay, so you'll want to take note of that, jot that down or something, get familiar with that. As far as the units go, we've seen that the default unit was millimeters, and we left it there. Now the precision of these decimals is to the 4th decimal place. We could leave that there for now. Sometimes that's too many zeros for what we're working with. If you wanted, you could easily take it off. Okay, it doesn't matter. Maybe we'll do that. We'll go here. Okay, let's go with that precision. And of course the degrees is already there. So here is the grid. We want to make sure that we're on an orthogonal grid. That is a straight on view rather than a 30-degree angle view that kind of mimics 3 dimensions. We won't use that in this drawing, though we are going to be drawing an isometric drawing, but we're going to use the orthogonal grid for that anyway. Okay? And of course your dimensions, well, the arrow size and the general scale is 1, and the length factor. There's many text height here, 2.5. Many of these settings are just fine as they are right now, and I will show you why as we're going through the drawing. And we will change them, but we'll do it from within the drawing rather than here. So just make certain the paper is A4 landscape, and the units are millimeter, and the grid is orthogonal. And let's get started with our drawing, okay? In this tutorial, to make things a little more interesting, we will actually be drawing a mechanical component of a bushing that is a little bit more complex than the floor design that we had in the first beginner's tutorial. We'll actually be getting a drawing of this here document that's online from the LibreCAD forum here. It's available for anybody to download and use if you like. It's a 17-page document that was written by the author here, and it is a tutorial that shows how to build this here component. Here is the orthogonal view, and here is the isometric view of this mechanical bushing. We will be working through this tutorial and showing you how to successfully complete this. People have tried to draw this in the past and have found some level of difficulty because of the vagueness of the author while describing this. So we will work with it together, and we will successfully complete this drawing. And then if you like, you can get this tutorial download and work at it at your own leisure. It's a good tutorial to practice because it's got lots of lines and other objects that will get you very familiar with the LibreCAD drawing application. Okay, so let's get started, shall we? First thing we want to do is, you'll notice this here red X here, these crosshairs. This is the 0, 0 location of our drawing. If you notice these numbers down here, when we get right in the center, we can see that it is 0, 0, 0. So if we want that crosshairs back here, all we have to do is we can go to view and do auto zoom, or we can go over here to the auto zoom and push that. Okay, so you see we have the crosshairs down here, and this is actually the beginning of our drawing, known as 0, 0 coordinates. Is the X, this is the Y, but 0, 0, and that's where all our drawings should start from. So what we need to do before we start drawing is maybe create some layers that we will be working with. So we can go over here and press the plus sign on layers and get ready to add a layer here. Okay, first layer we could add would be a layer for the border of the drawing. Okay, so if you put a name on that layer as border, and a black or white border will be sufficient, we could thicken the line up a little bit so that you can see it, and continuous is fine. Okay, you'll notice that the drawing started with a default border here of 0, and sometimes we use that for things, but we're not going to use that here on this drawing. So here's the border. Another layer that we will be using would be for the structural components, lines. Okay, the structural lines of our drawing. And the structural lines could be blue, and we could make them, well, the default line is fine, and they should be continuous as well. There you go there. Let's add another line for any text that we put on. Okay, so we're going to put some text in, and again, the text is going to be black or white, and the text can be the default line width, and it can be continuous. Okay, so another line we might have in a drawing like this would be hidden lines. And hidden lines, maybe we could make them of a dark green nature, and they are always, we could make them a little thicker, maybe 13, and they are always a dash dot. So for this drawing, the components are quite small. Let's use a dash dot small on this. Okay, now another layer that we would use on this one is maybe center lines. Okay, we may have some center lines. And center line, we usually use red for that. And the default width is fine, but for this, you can see here you have center line, and we're going to go with the center line of small. Okay, there we go. Now we've got a border, and we've got some text, and we've got structural lines and hidden lines. We may need to have some construction lines. Okay, so let's use a layer for construction lines, and let's make those something that's easy to see, you know, maybe green. And again, I think default is fine. That green may not show up on this gray background. Let's use a dark red for construction lines, and let's go with the default thickness and make them continuous. Okay, and one more layer, very important layer that we're going to need, is for our dimensions. Okay, a layer for dimensions, and that should be something that's easy to see. We could use light magenta, and the default line is fine, and continuous again. Okay, so here we have a bunch of layers created. So the first thing we want to do is put a border on our drawing. So let's make sure we check the border layer, make sure we're on the border layer, and then we can use a rectangle to draw a rectangle around our drawing. But you will remember the A4 paper drawing is 210 in the Y by 297 in this X direction. So our border wants to be in from the edge of the paper. Maybe at least 5 mils in all the way around. So if you have 5 mils in here and 5 mils in here, that's a total of 10 mils you're taking off of the X direction. So instead of 297, our border would be at 287. And height is 210, but it will actually be at 200. So we could go to line here. Now that we're on the border, we could go to line, and we could choose a rectangle and draw that rectangle. Or we could go to the command line here, and we could type in rectangle and press enter. Now it asks us to specify the first corner. The first corner is going to be 0, 0, way down here. Okay, the first corner. So let's tell it that 0, 0. That's the first point. Now the second point of our rectangle is going to be way up in this corner, which, as you know, we've decided was going to be 287 in the X and 200 in the Y. So let's put 287, 200 and hit enter. Okay, as you can see, we have a nice black border. Now, if you're using the mouse to draw, hit the right mouse key to release the drawing line tool. If you are using the keyboard, just hit escape key. See that? It goes away. Okay, so now we have released the tool, and you'll notice we have a nice border, but we can't see it all. So what we really want to do is zoom in, auto zoom, and you'll notice from the view here is auto zoom that we could click on, or you can see here is auto zoom. Let's just hit auto zoom, and you see our drawing pops right into the viewer here, and we have it. Now, we should put a title block in our drawing here, okay? And that could be part of the border. So I would say that, again, we need a line to come up and over, and then we'll need some horizontal lines and some vertical lines. Okay, so we can go here and draw a 2-point line, and we could come up here and over here, or we could go to the command line here and tell it that we're going to draw a line and press enter. Okay, it says specify the first corner. Well, the first corner of our line will be from the absolute 0, 0 position. So because this is 287, we could go to maybe 200 in the X, okay? And that would give us 87 units for our title block. So let's go ahead in the command line and say that from the absolute 0, 0, and let me say again, let's go 200 in the X and 0 in the Y. Okay? That's where we are. Now, the next point of our line should be 200 in the X and 50 vertical in the Y. There we go. Okay, so now we can specify another line over here. So let's go from where our red point is over to 287 in the X and still 50 in the Y. Okay, that closes it. Okay, and now we can't really carry on anywhere from there, so let's press the escape key and we're done there. Okay, so now to specify the first point on the line, what we can do is we would like to put a little area here for a logo, and we would like to have some vertical lines for title and stuff like that. So let's start another line which we can do. We'll click in the command line and let's put another line at first point is going to be 200 in the X and 40 in the Y. And the next point is going to be 287 in the X and 40 in the Y. Okay. Now we want to move on, but let's hit the escape key and let's put another vertical line. Let's put another line here. Let's go 200 in the X and 10 in the Y. Okay, there we are there. And now the next point will be 287 and 10. And there you go. Okay, so now if we hit the escape key, we will detach our tool, and now we could put some vertical lines in. Okay, so maybe we want this space for the company logo to be 40 units, and we have 87 here. So let's make a line here at 240 in the X and 0 in the Y. Okay, you can see it there. Now the next line is going to be 240 and 50 units in the Y. Okay, and there you go. Now we can hit the right mouse key to detach the tool. Okay, and we could go ahead and put another vertical line in here to give us a few more lines for information. So let's put another one there at say 260 and 0, and there you go. And we could be 260 and 50. And there you are. Okay, so hit the escape key or right mouse, and we need a few more lines in here. Okay, so let's put a couple more lines in here. Let's put a line at 240 and 20, say. You see that there? Now let's close that with 287 and 20. Okay, escape that. Let's put another line in there at 240 and 30. Hit the enter, and we've got a line here. And let's finish that line off with 287 and 30. Okay, hit the escape key, and there you have it. Hit the escape key again, and we have a nice title block there. Now you can see here on layer borders, we have our border and our title block that's just missing the text. Okay, so let's save our drawing. You can choose to go to save as, okay, and give our drawing a title, and let's call it mechanical bushing. Okay, so give it a name and a place to save it, and save that drawing. Okay, so there is our first border layer finished. Let's get started with that, and let's move to the structural layer, and let's choose a good place to start our line. Now we want to get over here and give us some room, and remember, we're going to be drawing this side of it, and then we're going to have to put some lines over here. So let's make sure we start over here far enough, yet not too far, so that we leave room for our isometric view over here. Okay, so let's say we went up about 5 units or 50 and over about 70 or 80. Okay, so we could either choose a line here and do it that way. I'll show you. We could choose a line with 2 points, say, or we're going to start with a vertical, so let's choose a vertical line. Okay, and let's have it on free snap, but let's specify the first point over here. Let's say that we went over 70 units and up 50 units. Okay, now you'll notice it drew a line here for me. From that red dot, that's the start we entered, that's the coordinates we entered in the command line, and it drew a line only because I have some presets in here. Okay, and my preset in here is exactly what we want. If we look at our mechanics drawing, you can see we have 52.5. Okay, and then we have to come over 4.5, and then up 7.5, and then over 10, down 15, over 2.5, down 45, and over 12. Okay, so let's do that. We went up. When you chose the vertical line from here, it comes with presets so that you can put the line. So I put 52.5 in here. That's exactly the length of our line. Okay, so now when you have here is start, middle, and end, that determines where this line starts. The start is here, the end is here, or the middle is there. So let's go ahead and get a horizontal line. It also has areas that you can configure. Okay, and let's turn the snap on to snap on end of line. Okay, but this line here is not 52. This line here over is 4.5, I believe, is it? 4.5, and let's snap on that. Okay, there we go. Now the next line again is a vertical, so let's go back to vertical, and it is 7.5, I believe. Okay, so let's go up 7.5, And we've got snap on end. Okay, and the next line again is horizontal. So let's go horizontal, and it is actually 10 units. So let's go 10 and snap on end. And now the next line is vertical. So let's go vertical. However, we're not going up, we're going in the negative. We're going down. So we'll have to actually turn this to the end. You see how it's pointed down? 15 units. Start is up, end is down, okay? So we don't have to put the negative in here if you don't like. By using the end snaps, we can determine the direction the line is going. Okay? That's 15. Now, we need to go horizontal, and we need 2.5. And again, you can see that it's going the wrong way. So we could put negative 2.5, or we could just change to the end, and that will go the other way. You see that? Okay, so let's try that again. Horizontal, 2.5 on the end, and snap on that. Okay, now let's roll our center mouse button to increase so that you can see what's going on. Increase the zoom here. And now we need a vertical. So let's go to vertical line, and let's do 45, I believe it is, 45, and snap on end down there. Okay, and now we need to close that. We want the horizontal line, I'm sorry, horizontal, 12, and there we go. Okay, so that is the set of lines that we see here. Okay, and now we need to add a few more lines. If we look at this here, we have to draw the other half, and here is the line here that's beyond the center line. Remember now, we've turned this so that we're just looking at the one face, plus we see this section here and this section here. Okay, so let's go ahead and put in the other face of that, the other side of that. Now the first thing we want to do, as you will notice here, is there is a diameter of 25 units, and at the bottom a diameter of 16 units. So what we can do here is, that would be, this is the diameter of 25, and this inner one is a diameter of 16 units. But the center line would be half, it would be a radius. So the radius is 12.5 from this edge to this line. And the radius here is 8, half of 16 over to the line. Okay, so let's do that to find the center line. Okay, so what we can do is we can switch over to our construction layer. Okay, and let's make a line, snap on end on, and let's make a line, we want horizontal, 8 units. Here I have 12, I only want 8. Snap on end, and there you go. Now up top here, from this point, we want half of 25, which is 12.5 for a radius. Okay, now here's a point here and here's a point here. Now that would be 12.5, and this is 8. For our radius, that should give us our center line. Okay, let's go out a little bit here, zoom out by rolling the mouse, the center mouse button. Let's switch to the center line layer, and let's select 2-point line and snap on end, and let's snap here, and let's snap here. Okay, right mouse click to get rid of that. Now you have a center line, but we want to extend that center line. Okay, so let's go to modify here, and let's go to the lengthen tool. Okay, right there. And let's lengthen that by about 20 units maybe, hey? Okay. Now, if you read down here, it tells you what to do next. Select entity to trim or otherwise distance. This is the center line. So we want to add 20 units to that. Let's click near the end, and you see it shoots up 20 inches. Let's go to the bottom, click again, and it shoots down 20 inches. Let's right mouse click to get rid of that, and there is our center line. Now, no center line is complete without marking it as a center line. Okay, so let's go and let's look at the tools here, and let's look at M text or A text. Let's choose the text here. Let's choose a capital letter C, and the size here is 3, the height of the text. That should be fine for us. Let's say okay to that, and let's put that. Now you notice it's going to end snaps. We could have it here. Okay, right on the end of that, there's our C. Okay, right mouse click once more, and from the menu, choose M text again. Let's put a capital L there. Okay, gain 3 for height, that's good. Angle, we don't need an angle. Say okay. Now, that's going to jump up to the end snap again. You don't want that. Take the end snap off and choose free snap. Now you can put the L right where you like it, and we like to have the L just lapping onto the C like that, okay? And that designates that this is a center line. Okay, so now the center line is complete. So it's about time to push save of your drawing. And you've got the center line, and you've got these lines, and you've got a couple of construction lines here. Now let's go back to the structural layer. That's with the blue lines. And let's get this side of the drawing constructed, okay? Okay, after we have our center line drawn and the letters to designate it as a center line, we can commence to drawing this other side. However, this other side is not going to be the same view, but we can use some of the same lines. So we could actually draw the other side as we did this side, or we can do it an easier way, and that would be by selecting some of these lines that we're going to use, like that, and then from the modify, choose mirror. Okay, and if you look at the command line down here, it says specify first point of mirror. Well, the point of the mirror, it would change our snaps to snap on end and take this horizontal off. Now the first point of the mirror will be on our center line, and then it says specify the second point of the mirror. Well, that will be on our center line down here. Okay, it says delete original or keep it. Let's keep the original. Okay, now you can see we have this here. However, because we're only looking at a portion of the view, we will not, we have actually not cut the unit right in half, so we cannot see the same face here that we see here. Let's have a look at that. This line will stay, okay? And the top we will need, so we can actually use a 2-point line, snap on end, and we can snap here and snap there. Okay, that finishes the top line. And the bottom line, the same. We can snap here and snap here. Okay, that finishes the bottom line. Now, what we need to do is actually select this line, and this line, because we do not see those lines in this view. Okay? So those lines, we will move to the hidden lines. So now that they're selected, we can go over to Modify, choose Attributes, and move them to the hidden layer. Okay? And you can see here, now they are hidden. Now, this line and this line, we want to move that to the structural. Okay, and let's make sure we're on the structural now. Now you can see we have hidden lines in here, but the view of this be right along our center line, the edge of the view here. So let's draw one more 2-point line. Make sure the snap-on intersection is on, and snap right on this intersection of the center line, and again at the top. Okay, and click off of that. Now you can see we have that section in there. Now this line needs to actually be extended. So what we can do is lengthen this line. So to do that, let's go back to the hidden line layer, and let's extend that line. And we can do that by going to Modify, choose Lengthen. How much to lengthen it by? Well, I'll tell you, it doesn't really matter because we can trim it afterwards. But we do know that this here is actually 8 units. So we can lengthen that by 8 units. And it says here, select entity to trim, and just touch it near the end. And there you go. Okay, click off of that. Okay, so there's our hidden lines, and this is our view. Now, we'll also notice that this edge needs to be drawn in here. Okay, so let's go back to the structural, and let's lengthen this unit. Now, this unit here is actually, so we need 20 units in here. This is actually 12. And this is 8, so a total of 20. So let's go again and lengthen, making sure we're on the structural. And let's lengthen it by 20. And let's touch this 2.5 near the end. And there you go. Okay. So now you see we have this section drawn in here, and complete with the hidden lines that we don't actually see on the outside. Okay? Okay, now to finish this off, we need to hatch the one layer. And to do that, we will select all the sides of this face here. And then let's make sure we're on the hatch layer. Okay, now choose hatch. And there we go. And we're going to use the ANSI, American National Standard Institute number 31. And we're going to use a scale of 0.5 and angle at 0. And let's say OK to that. There you go. Okay, let's make sure we save that. Now, a few other things we need here on our drawing. We're going to need some dimensions. So let's move over to the dimension layer. And let's put a few dimensions in. Now to put dimensions in, let's use the end snap. Okay. And let's choose for dimensions. Let's choose horizontal first, okay? And let's snap on here and on here. And you'll notice we cannot move that too easily, except from point to point. That's because the end snap is on. So let's take the end snap off, and then we can slide that dimension to where we want it nicely. There's a nice spot there. Okay, simple as that. Next dimension, horizontally. Okay, we could choose to turn the snap on end back on. We could snap in here, and we would need to snap on the end of that line there. Okay, now again, you can see that it's jumping around on me. We take snap on end off, and we can put that in there nicely. Okay, again, we could choose snap on end, snap on here, snap on here, and again take the snap off and move that nicely. Okay, now let's do that again with this one here. Put the snap on end on, snap on there and on there, and take that snap off and move that down. There you go. Okay, now we have a couple here we could do. We could snap on the end there and on the end there, take that snap off and move that to where we want to be. Okay, now we'll snap this bottom one and take the snap off, and there we go. Okay, now we can snap this dimension, and here we don't have, we can snap that dimension. Okay, now we could leave that right where it's at. That's fine there. Okay, now we have one in here, so let's snap on there and on there, and that we'll take the snap off and put that in there. Okay, I think that's all of our horizontal measurements. Oh, there's a couple more here. Let's snap on here and on here, and let's put that there. Okay, now we do have a horizontal measurement here. We can snap there and there and take the snap off and put it there. Okay, so we see what we have in here. Now we do have another one here, so let's put the snap on here, and we do have a snap there and a snap there, and that's telling us what that radius is there. Okay, so we've got an 8 radius here and a 12.5 radius here. What we might do is, you see this here is a little close for comfort, so let's get rid of our dimension tool. Let's click on that one and let's hit the delete key to get rid of it. I want to move it a bit. Let's right mouse click, choose your horizontal dimensions again, snap on end, snap there, and come up. Take the snap off, move up a little higher. Give yourself a little more room here so it's not crowded. Okay, so here we have in here 12.5, and there we've got 12.5. Here we have 8, but we have most of the dimensions we need there. So now let's go to the vertical dimensions. Okay, and again, snap on end, and let's get this one and this one. Let's take the snap off for 15. Okay, now let's put the snap on. We're going to snap here and here. Snap off. We're a total of 45. Okay, now that's 40, 45. Let's snap on. Let's go in here and in here, and you see that's 52.5 along there. Okay, that should be all of our vertical snaps. So let's click off of that snap tool. Now you'll notice that the 12.5 is a radius and the 8 is a radius. So we could have changed that in the drawing options here, but let's just do it this way. Let's click on that. Let's go to properties. It says here, okay, now that is not a diameter, that's only a radius. So let's label it accordingly. Let's put R, and let's put 8.00. Okay, now you see right there. And again, let's do the one up top here, and let's put R 12.50. Okay, there you go. So now we have the radiuses in there. Okay, one more thing we will need then, now we've got almost complete here, is we'll need some text. So let's go to the text layer, and let's grab the text button here, M text. Okay, and we're going to make sure the height is 4, angle is nothing, 0, and let's write in orthogonal view. Okay, write that in there. Say okay to that. Now we have an end snap on, which is okay because it'll snap right to the end of our center line here, which is good. And just click on that. Okay. Now we should actually put a line under that. So while we're on the text layer, let's just add a 2-point line here, and let's go to free snap. Okay, free snap. Make sure the yellow line is away from the capital O. You can maybe make it right in line with the 45 dimension line, and click on that. Now, so that you don't get crooked here, let's go and restrain the horizontal. Okay, and again, make sure your yellow line is past the W there. Okay, and go ahead and click on that. Now right click to get off there, and there we have a view. Now go and zoom auto. There we are. Okay, there is our view. Now it's difficult to see what's going on here unless we had a top view up here so that we could see the top of this unit. So we're going to draw a top view, and then we will actually be able to see what is happening in these hidden lines more clearly. Okay, so let's get ready for the top. Okay, to draw a top view, we're going to use some of the lines we have here. And to see them clearly, let's actually get rid of some of these things like the dimensions by turning them off. Just go to the little eye here and turn off the dimensions. Okay, now to use these lines, we're going to extend them up into this area. They will form the perimeter of our top. And they're going to be construction lines. So let's make sure we're on the construction line. Okay, we're on the construction line layer. And let's actually make sure that we're on end snap. And let's choose a 2-point line. And let's take the vertical restraint and take the horizontal off and put the vertical on. But let's make sure we click on the end snap here. Okay, and then restrain the vertical and go up to near the top of the drawing and click. Okay, now let's click on this side with the end snap on, take the free snap off, put the end snap on, restrain the vertical. Let's undo that. Let's take the vertical restraint off. Let's snap on the end, put the vertical restraint back on, and go up near the top of the drawing and click. Okay, we need to extend a few more of these lines. Let's take the vertical restraint off, click to get rid of that. Make sure snap on end is on. Snap on this one, restrain the vertical, go up near the top, snap again. Click to get rid of the tool. Let's go into this one, snap on there, restrain the vertical, and click there. Click off. Okay, let's snap on this one, restrain the vertical, snap, click. Okay, and one more. Let's snap on here, rise up. You see how it's jumping around? So we want to restrain the vertical so it doesn't do that, and click. Okay, we've extended our lines. Now, one more line we need to actually extend will be the center line, but the center line we can actually extend that. So let's go to the center line and let's go to lengthen the center line. Okay, and let's say that we're going to lengthen it maybe 60 units. Okay, let's make 60 units. Now let's touch near the end of the center line, and there you go. Okay, because we will need that center line in our top portion of the drawing. Okay, so you notice that all these lines have been extended up. All we need is some horizontals here, and then we're ready to draw our ellipses, or circles they will be on the top section. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is draw a rect or square the perimeter of our unit here, and that is going to be 45. If we turn on our drawings here, on our dimensions, we see that's 45. So let's draw that at 45. Maybe we could leave them there already because we're done drawing these line extensions. So let's leave the dimensions on, they might be handy. Okay, so let's move to the structural layer. Let's go ahead and we'll snap on the entity. Okay, so let's choose a vertical line. That is dimensions. Let's choose a vertical line and let's go 45 here. Okay, let's go 45, and let's snap on entity. Anywhere here above this here center line so that we don't wreck that. Plus we're going to need room for text, so we don't want to cover up our center line designation there. Let's make sure we leave room for text. Let's go about here somewhere. Okay, there we go. Now, so let's choose snap on horizontal, or let's choose a horizontal line, and the length is 45. So let's change to snap on endpoint, and you see we have one there. And let's snap on endpoint there, one there. Okay, let's go back to vertical, and let's snap on here, and there you go. There's our perimeter there for our mechanical bushing. Okay, now we do have to find the center of this bushing. Now we could do that one of two ways quite easily. Okay, we could go back to the construction lines layer, and we could snap on end and use a 2-point line and snap here and snap there. And we could snap here and we could snap there. Okay, that shows us the center line. Now we could have went 22.5 down and put a line across, but this is sufficient for us right now. Okay, so what we want to do is draw some circles in here now, and those circles will designate these radiuses and diameters in here. So the first one we want is a 16 diameter circle. All right, 8 radius, so it's 16 diameter. So let's choose circle with a point. Nope, let's choose circle with a center and a radius. Let's see what that does for us. Okay, now let's move that radius to 8. Okay, and now we're going to take the snap on end off and put snap on intersection on right there. Okay, now you'll notice I'm on the wrong layer here, so let's change over to structural layer and let's go back. There we go. Okay, right click to get rid of that tool. Now we need another circle, which will have a radius of 12.5, right? Right in here, 12.5. Okay, and that also will snap on the intersection. Okay, now we have another circle yet, one more. We must remember the bottom, this unit is round and it's 40, so it has a radius of 20. So let's get one more circle with a radius of 20. Okay, and let's go and snap on the intersection of that center. Okay, now you see here that we have 2.5 here, which corresponds to the 2.5 here. Okay, and all these circles here correspond to the radiuses in here. Okay, so now we got kind of a mess here with all these hidden lines. So let's turn off the construction layer. We don't need that now. And you can see more clearly what we have here. This is the top, beginning to be the top of our bushing. Okay, but now we're going to have to put a line in here and a line in here to trim out the corner of our bushing. So let's go ahead and make a horizontal line, and let's snap on let's snap on a center point. Now that horizontal line is only going to be 22.5 long, right? 22.5. Okay, we're going to start here. And there it is there, okay? So now let's choose a vertical line. And again, that vertical line is going to be 22.5. So let's snap in there again, but we'll have to go to the end. And let's snap that on there. And you can see that's the corner that's missing here, that's cut out. Okay, so let's use your center mouse button to expand that, and hold down the center mouse to pan it over, and let's cut this corner out of here. Okay, so to cut this corner out, we're going to have to go to modify and choose the divide line. Okay, and it says here specify entity to cut. Well, first off, we want to cut this line. Okay, so let's mark it to specify it, and then it says specify cutting point. Well, that will be right on the X, but we're going to have to choose snap on intersection to get that right there. Okay, now it says choose the entity to cut. Let's cut this one, and let's snap on intersection there. Okay, now again it says specify entity to cut. Well, we want to cut this here circle here on this intersection. Okay, and specify it again, and we want to cut it on this intersection. Now specify this circle and cut it on this intersection, and specify the circle again and cut it on this intersection. Now this circle, specify the 16 diameter circle and cut it on the intersection. One more time and cut it on the intersection. Okay, there are a few more lines we have to trim, but let's first select these lines that we've, and hit your delete key, and they're gone. Okay, now you'll also notice that these lines here are not necessary for us. So let's go back and get the divide, and let's specify the entity we're going to cut. That's this one, and right on that point. And let's specify this entity. Let's shut that center line off so we don't cut it. Let's specify this this entity, and right on that intersection. Okay, right click to get rid of the tool. Take these two pieces of line, hit your delete key, and they're gone. You can turn the center line back on now if you want. Okay, so that's what the top is looking like for us, okay? Except on that top, you will notice that this line, you wouldn't normally see that. That's a hidden line. So let's choose that line. Let's get the attributes, and let's move that to the hidden layer. Okay, that's a hidden line. These other two you will see. Okay, you will see these other circles. You will see the 25 diameter circle, and you'll see the 16 diameter circle. Because you see this surface, it's actually could be hatched. So let's go to the hatch area, and let's choose. Oh, you see, we have a problem here. We're going to have to cut that. So before we do that, let's go back to the structural area. Let's divide that. Let's choose the entity to divide, and right on that intersection. Now let's choose the other. Let's shut the center line off again. Let's choose this entity to divide, and right on that section. Okay. Now we can turn the center line back on. We can go back to the hatch layer, and we can choose the area that we wish to hatch. Okay, that would be that area there. Let's go to the hatch. We can use the same properties, and let's attempt to hatch that. Okay, there you go. Okay, so now if we zoom back in with auto zoom, you will see this is what that unit actually looks like. Okay, here's your hidden lines here. Hidden line detects this diameter, and this line detects this diameter that you're actually seeing from here. Okay. Now all we need to do is put some dimensions on there. Okay. So let's go ahead and switch to the dimension layer, and let's put some dimensions on. We can go ahead with horizontal dimensions, and we can click on endpoint here and here, and that's sufficient. Now we can click here and here and take that snap so that we can move that, and that is sufficient. Okay, let's do a vertical. Okay, let's grab some vertical dimensions and snap on end here and here, and take that off, moving out here, 22.5. Now we could go back to horizontal, and we could choose snap on end. Let's go here and here. Take the snap off. You can see we have 4.5, right? Now, so we don't get so congested here, we could do one more in here. Put the snap on. We can go from there to there, and take the snap off, and you can see we have a distance of 10 there. Okay, now we still need this one. So what we should do is right click, grab the vertical, grab snap on endpoint. We could go here and here, take the endpoint off, and you can see we have a distance of 2.5. Okay, let's put one here, one here. Let's take the snap off. 45. Okay, 22, 22, 45. Now you can see down here we have all of our dimensions. Here we have 2.5, here we have 4.5, here we have 10. That will be enough dimensions. The one thing we want to do yet is maybe put some text in here. Okay, so let's switch to the text, and let's grab our M text, and let's use the same words, but let's put top view. Okay, orthogonal top view. Still using the same 4, and go ahead and we can position that right on the center line. Okay, and click off of that. We should put a line under that, so let's grab a 2-point line. Two points right here. And again, let's start our line. Comfortable spot. And let's, so we don't get crooked, let's restrain the horizontal. And let's go to the yellow markers just past the W and click that. Okay, click off there. Now this is kind of tight here. So let's get rid of that. Let's hit the delete key. But you know, we could put it back in, or we don't need to, because you can see the measurement there and you can see it here. Okay, so we don't really need to put that measurement in there, and that gives us more room. Okay, there you have it. You've got the side view, you've got the top view. Okay, and next we will start the isometric view over here in this area. Okay, to start our isometric view, we're going to be using polar coordinates. Now, these coordinates we used over here were called Cartesian coordinates, and that's quite standard for standard CAD drawing. But we're going to be using, for our isometric view, polar coordinates. That are coordinates that would be on an angle, and in our case, we're going to use 30-degree angles to actually show our three-dimensional view of this particular mechanical bushing. Okay, so to do that, you must understand a little bit about polar coordinates, and I'm going to show you with a slight diagram just how to do that. So if we just click onto the construction layer here, you see all these lines we have. We'll go on the construction layer, and we will we'll draw a line. Okay, free snap, and draw a 2-point line right from, say, here, and let's restrain the vertical, and let's go up to, say, here. Okay, now from this end point of this line here, let's go snap on end. Let us draw a line, an angular line, okay, an angular line. And let's draw that line maybe 20 units at 30-degree angle. And again, you've got start or end, so we could use that end. And then we could change it to the start, and let's go the other way, okay? Now, you can see here we've got a 30-degree angle. And so now, let's put another line in here at, say, 150 degrees. And that would be there. And if we go to the end of that, we'll move it this way. Okay? So now what we have here is, let us extend this line down a little bit, okay? So let's go to lengthen, and let's lengthen it by 20, and let's snap on end, let's go there. Okay, now let us put some text in here, okay? We'll stay on this layer, and let's go to, let's put M text back in. Let's put our height back to 3. Say okay to that. Okay, now we've got something. Okay, there's 90. Now the opposite end of 90 will be 270 degrees. and this is in the Z direction. Okay? Now, we did say we had an angle of 30 degrees, didn't we? That was over here. And the opposite of 30, 210. That will be here. And then this other line will be 150. And the opposite of 150 will be 330. Okay? These are polar coordinates. Now, let's put our letter designation on there as well, okay? So let's go to M text, and let's say that this is the Z axis. Okay? And let's not snap on end, let's snap on entity. Right there. So that's the Z. Maybe we should make that a little bigger, okay? So that we can actually see it. So let's undo that, and let's do the M text again. And this time let's make it a 4 height. Okay. And we snap on entity. Okay. Now, let's do another one. Let's make X. Okay, and snap on entity. Okay, this is your X. And one last time. Y. And snap on entity. Okay, so now we see we got X, Y, Z coordinates. Okay, so we'll be drawing our isometric portion using lines at these particular angles. 90 degrees will be in the Z direction, X will be 30 or 210, and Y will be 150 or 330. Okay, so to start this here, because we're on the construction layer, let's extend this line over here so that we can start at the same layer, okay? So let's do a snap on end, and let's do a 2-point line, and let's go here, and it's ran over to the title block there, so I don't know, let's restrain the horizontal. And let's take the snap in end off, and let's just go over here. Okay? Okay, that gives us a line showing us that we can start our drawing at the same height on this paper as this drawing here. It's always good to keep your sections nicely organized on the paper. Okay, so what we'll have to do is begin to draw this in the isometric view, and we'll start by drawing this face, and then we will draw this face. Okay, so to start with, let's move to the structural layer, and let's take our restrain the horizontal off, and let's put a free snap on, and let's choose angled line, and we've got an angle of 150, which will work for us, and we want to be 12 units long. So let's put 12 units in here, and you can see I'm going the wrong way, so let's do from the start. Okay, so let's come down onto this here line here and click. Okay, the next line we have is going to be 52.5 going up. Okay, so we can actually choose a vertical line, and we can be 52.5, and we'll snap on end. There we go. Okay, click that off. Now the next line here is 4.5, so we're going to be doing a angular line, and it's going to be 4.5 long. Okay, and it's going to have to change around and go that way. Okay, now we're going to do another vertical line, and that is going to be vertical line of 7.5. Okay, so we change our length here to 7.5, and we snap on the end, make sure that we're going in the right direction here, right there. Okay, now the next line we have is going to be 10 units from an angle line at 150. So let's do 10 units and change the direction. Okay, now we're going to actually do a vertical line, and it's going to be 15 long. That would be this one over here, right there. Okay, just like that. Now we have to do an angular line of 2.5, and that will turn around to there. And now we can do a 2-point line, snap on end from here to here, and there is the one side. Okay, so now we're going to have to put in a center line. Okay, to get our center line, okay, let's move over to the center line layer. Now let's go to construction layer first. And what we'll do in the construction layer is let's do an angle line, and we know that we have a radius of 8, so we're going to be 8 over to the center line. So let's go ahead and put 8 units in here, and let's put it there. Okay, now let's do one up top here. There you go. Okay, this will give us the location of our center line. Okay, so now we can go to center line, and we can go ahead and run a 2-point line from snap-on end from here to here. Okay, right click to get rid of that. Now our center line is there, but it's a little bit short, so let's lengthen that, and let's lengthen it 20 units will be fine on both ends. Okay, now let's go back to our structure. Okay, now we have our first side drawn, so the next thing we want to do is draw this other face. So let's go back to the construction line, and let's use an angle line and snap on end, and this time we have to change our angle. So let's go with 30-degree angle, and let's go with the end point. Okay, right there. And let's do one more down here. Okay, those are the construction lines for the second side. Okay, so what we can do now is go back to the structural layer, and we will draw an angle line of 12 units in here. Okay, and then we will draw a vertical line of 45 units and change this to start, endpoint snap to there. Okay, now we will draw an angle line of 2.5 units. 2.5 unit. I have 2.5, but we have to go the other way. That has to come out here. Okay, now we get our vertical line of 15, and going the other way, there we go there. Okay, and now we need an angle line of 10 to there. Okay, and then a vertical line of 7.5, and change it to the other direction to there, and then an angle line of 4.5 and change it to the other direction right there, and then a vertical line, we could say, of 52.5, and that will go from this point down to that. Okay, so there you see we have the two faces of our drawing. We're well on our way. Now, you did notice we put that center line in here, and we did not put our letter designation on it. So let's go back to the center line, and let's bring up the M text, and let's put a capital C. The spacing should be 3. Say okay to that, and let's put our C designation there. Okay, now let's bring up M text again, and let's make a capital L, and let's say okay to that, but let's take the end snap off so that we can free snap it, and let's put that L right there. Okay, so there's our center line designation. Okay, so now we're going to begin with a few more of our lines. Let's go back to the structural layer, and we need to draw a face here and a face here. So let's first start with an angle line at 30 degrees is fine, but we need 22.5 is what we need for length, and we need to snap on end. Okay, and we need a couple of them. Okay, and we also need some of those lines in at the 150 mark. Okay, and that would be over here and over here. Okay, next we want to have is we want some angle lines of 45 units long. Okay, 45. and that will be there. And we'll also have to put that in at 30-degree angle, which will be there. Okay, so now you can see that we're starting to take shape on the top. Let's do a vertical line of 15, and we can snap on end right there, and we can snap on end right there. Okay, so we're starting to take shape here pretty good. Now, what we might like to do, I see that center line's a little short, so let's actually go back to the center line, and let's go to lengthen, and we've got 20 units. Let's lengthen that center line by 20 units right there. Okay, and now we have our letter designation here is wrong for us, so let's just click on that and delete it, and let's do the M text again, and let's do the C. Okay, and let's click on there, and let's do M text for the L. Okay, and let's take off the end snap and put that L there. Okay, there's our center line there now. Now let's go back to our structural lines. Okay, so there we're getting the top formed up pretty good. One thing we might be able to do right now, if we like, is we could possibly hatch this area here. We could try that. Let's highlight these lines. Make sure we get them all. Okay, let's go to hatch. Let's go to hatch layer. Now let's go to hatch, and we can use everything as we've got here, and there you go. Okay, let's do the other side. Make sure we get all these lines, even that little 2.5er. Okay, and hatch that. Everything's good, and go. Okay, so there we go. We're starting to take shape there in our isometric view. Now we do need a few more lines and stuff, so let's get going with that. Let's get off of this hatch layer back down to this. Maybe what we will do is go onto the construction layer, because we're going to need some ellipses in here to designate the hole, the roundness of this bushing. And to get those ellipses, we are going to go to a spare area and draw a circle. Now you'll notice here that the first ellipse here will have to be 25 units from here to here, and you know that a circle fits in a square. Okay, so in some spare space here, let's construct a square. Okay, from free snap, let's go with an angular line, and let's make it 25 units. Okay, and 30 degrees is fine. Let's put it somewhere in here, just spare space. Okay, and let's change that to 150 degrees, and let's put the snap on end on, and let's snap here, and let's snap here. Now let's go back to 30 degrees, and let's close that up. Now we need a center point for that square, so let's just click on a 2-point line, and let's click here, and let's click here and here. Now we have the center of that line. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we have to find center on the top of this unit. So while we're on the construction line, let's put a line, an angular line, 40 units, let's say, eh? Now you can see there, that line would be extended. And let's change the angle to 150. Okay, now we've got center line in there on the top of our unit. So next thing we're going to do is select all of these lines, which we can easily do by clicking the mouse and dragging backwards, and there you go. Now we're going to go to copy move, and we're going to snap on intersection. And if you read down here, it says specify a reference point. Well, that will be the center. Okay? Now, it says specify the target point. Well, that will also be on an intersection right there. Okay? And it says delete original or keep original, right? And we can actually keep that. We don't need to, but it's on the construction layer, so we'll keep it. And now we've got all this selected, but let's just go up here and deselect that. Okay, there we go. Now we have the first line for our circle. Okay, so let's go to ellipse, because even though it's a circle, in an isometric view, it's going to look like an ellipse. Okay, so let's go to our structural layer. Let's choose an ellipse inscribed. Okay, choose that ellipse inscribed. Now, it says specify the first line. Well, that would be the line that we're inscribed in. So that'd be this one. And it says specify the second line. That would be this one. Then it says specify the third line. That would be this one. And the fourth line. Okay, and that's over here. There you go. Okay, right click to get off of that. There is our circle. Okay. Now, we need a circle down here, 7.5 lower. And in order to get that, what we're going to do is we're going to turn off the construction layer for a minute so we can see what we have. Okay. Now let's take and move this point down 7.5 units so that we can put another circle in there. Okay. So let's draw a line just to get a point 7.5 units lower. Okay. So let's go with a vertical line, and let's make it a length of 7.5. And make sure we're going in the right direction. And we'll take intersection off and put, and let's go with our vertical, but let's choose the other way and snap on center point right down here. Snap on center point. And there you go. We have a line down here, 7.5 units lower. So now what we want to do is let's select this here, ellipse, and let's go to the copy move. It says specify reference point. Now we want to move the center of that. So we're going to click on center right there. Now we're going to go to the end of this other line and click there. And yes, we want to keep the original. We want both. Okay? So now we can click on that line to deselect it, and there we have two circles. Okay? So that is what we need there, and that will designate the thickness here of 7.5 units on the first bore, the first hole here. Okay? So now we have to have one more circle. And that one circle is also at 7.5 units down, but it is only the lesser diameter of 16. So if we turn our construction layer back on, okay, we turn our construction layer back on, and we can get rid of these lines because they're really in our way here. So let's just get rid of these construction lines. Just highlight them and hit the delete key. Okay, they're out of there. Now let's draw another square with lengths, sides of 16. Okay, so let's go with a free snap. Let's go here where we have some room. Okay, and now let's choose snap on end, and let's change that angle to 30, and let's change these to start, and let's put an angle there and a line there, and change this back to 150. Okay, there we are. Okay, and again, as you know, we need a center point. So we're going to choose a 2-point line and snap on end, and we're going to put a point there and a point there and a point there and a point there. Okay, now here is our 16 unit square, which will go on the center here and designate where our next circle will be. So let's highlight that, and let's choose move copy, and let's choose to snap on the intersection of this right there, and let's move this over to the end of our line here. And we will keep the original. Okay, and let's just deselect, and you can see it in here. Okay, so let's get rid of these lines. They're in our way now too. Just highlight them and get rid of them. And this here line, get rid of that one as well. Okay, so now we want to put an ellipse inside this square to designate the inner diameter bore. Okay, so easy enough to do that. Let's go with an ellipse inscribed. Let's change to the structural layer. It says specify the first line. Let's do that. Second line, if you read the command line, it's telling you. Third line, and the fourth line. Okay, there we go. We've got our other bore inscribed there. And now, if we like, we can turn off these construction lines just to have a look. And there are our circles, okay? Now, what we really need to do is do a little cutting here, okay? So, let's go ahead and choose from our list divide. Okay, and as it says down here, specify the entity to cut. Well, that would be this first one here. Okay, then it says specify the cutting point. Well, if we snap on an end point, okay, we could snap right there and cut that there. Now let's choose it again and snap on end point there. Okay, now let's right click to get rid of that. Let's highlight that piece that we took out, hit your delete key, and it's gone. Okay, now let's look at these other ones here. Okay, let's go back to the divide. Let's highlight the circle to divide, and on endpoint right at that line, select it again, and on endpoint at that line. Okay, now highlight the piece we're going to remove, hit the delete key, it's gone. Now you can see we have this line here, okay, this circle here. So let's go back and get the divide, and let's highlight that, but this time it's going to be on an intersection of lines, not an endpoint. So let's choose, take the endpoint off, put the intersection on, and right there, and highlight it again, and right there. Okay, but we need a few more cuts in there. Okay, so now we have to cut this bottom unit, because this bottom circle, because a portion of this is hidden. So if you choose divide and choose snap on entity, and it says here specify the entity, that would be this one, and then snap on that entity, click, and do the same on the other side here, and you will have left these bits of line in here that you cannot really see from this view. So what we'll do now is click on this line and on this section of line, and let's go to attributes, okay, and let's move them to the hidden line, okay, because they're actually hidden in there. Okay, now just as these were hidden there, those lines are hidden in there. Okay, so now we have a few more lines to draw here, and let's turn back on our construction layer. Okay, we have another circle to put at the bottom here, but that's going to be 40. So let's go ahead and choose angle line, and let's make it 40 units at 150. Make sure we're on the construction layer. Okay, now let's do our angle line again at 40. Okay, and let's change our angle to 30, which would be right there, and again there. Now I'm off of my drawing here a little bit, but it doesn't really matter for here. Okay, let's change this back to 150, and let's put that in there. Okay, now let's get a 2-point line and snap on ends and find a center point here and here and here and here. Okay, click off of that. Let's select that. Let's go and get our move copy, and let's snap on intersection right in the center here, and let's move that to the intersection of these lines here. And it says keep the original. Well, we're off of the paper here, so let's delete the original. We don't need it anyway. Okay, it's gone. Now choose the deselect up here. There we go. Okay, now let's put our ellipse inscribed. Specify the first side here, the second side here, third side here, and fourth there. Okay, now we can take that and get the attributes and move that circle to the structural layer. Okay, it's as easy as that. Now you can see we have our bottom circular area there, and let's move on to the structural area, and let's shut off the view of the construction lines so we can see what we have here. Okay, now let's turn the construction lines back on for a moment, because we're going to need a line that goes across here. Okay, so you see this line here and this line here need to be vertically connected. So let's go and get a vertical line, and we know that that vertical line needs to be, will snap on intersection. It needs to rise from here straight up. So let's, we're at 40 long. It's a little long, but let's click there. And let's go over here and click here. Now you will notice that we have lines there, but they're a little long. But that's not a problem. Let's shut off of the construction layer now. And let's go ahead and go to modify, and let's get trim. And let's select the area here and trim this one. Okay, and let's do our trim again. Select this and trim this one. Okay, there we go. Now we need to divide a little bit again, right? So let's go and divide, and let's divide this unit, and let's cut it there, and let's divide it again and cut it there. Okay, now let's divide it again and cut it at an end point of this line, and let's divide it again and cut it at the end point of this line, and again back here, okay, on an intersection. So let's choose this and cut it on that intersection, and let's choose this and cut it on that intersection. Okay, so now what do we have? We should have cut our line. We can hit the delete key, get rid of that. Now we should have a section here. No, we don't. Okay, deselect that. Let's go back to divide. Let's put on entity. There, okay. Not on intersection, but on entity, it cuts. Okay, let's select here. Let's select this line. Center line seems to be getting in the way for me, so let's shut that center line off. Let's go with divide. Let's select this, and we'll snap on entity right there, and we've got it. Okay, now let's select this line in behind here, and this line in behind here, and let's get the attributes, and let's move that to the hidden line area. Okay, there we go. Now you remember this little line we drew here for elevation? We can get rid of that. Just highlight that, hit the delete key. Okay. Now we can turn the center line back on. Okay, now you will notice the hidden lines. I did not like that dashed dot like center line, so we went to the hidden and we chose to edit the attribute, and we put it on a dash tiny. Okay, now we can go back to the structural. That will make these hidden lines look a little better. Okay, now one other thing that we want to do here on our drawing, it's looking pretty good now and taking shape, to put some dimensions in there. Okay, so that's pretty much our isometric drawing, and we can go ahead and add some dimensions so that we can see what we have to work with there. So let's go to the dimension layer and let's look at the dimensions, and let's choose aligned dimensions, and let's snap on endpoint, and let's take this one and this one, and you can see now I don't like the way that jumped in on me there because I didn't take the snaps off, so let's undo that. Let's snap on end again with dimensions aligned there and there. Take the snap off, move that dimension to where you like. Put the snap on end back on. Again, take it off, move it to where you like. Okay, we can put it back on. Snap on here, snap on here. Take it off, move that to where you like. Okay, and we can put some verticals. No, still aligned. Okay, so let's snap on end. Let's snap here and here, and take the snap off to move out. Okay, let's put the snap on. Snap there and there. Snap on, snap here, here. Take the snap off to move that. Okay, and we could put the snap on. We could move in here, here. You get the idea. You can put all your dimensions on there, and you could grab a few here and here. Okay, you can get a few here and here. You can get dimension here and here. Take that off so you can put that in a nice location. You can get a dimension here and here. Okay, and now leader. And let's choose the intersection here, and then take the intersection off. Choose your next point. Okay, and then choose the next point, but you want that line straight, so let's put the horizontal on. Okay, and if you want another leader, choose leader. Let's click on there. Let's take the intersection snap off. Let's snap here, Let's put the horizontal restraint on, and let's snap here. There you go. We got a couple of leaders there, and we could choose text, and we could put in 25.00. Okay, and let's take the horizontal off. And click there. Okay, now we do M text again, and the next one is only 16. Okay, and let's put that there. Okay, now we could go to properties here. It says here we could insert a symbol. So let's insert the diameter symbol. Let's go back, diameter 25.00. Okay, there we go. And let's do this one. Let's insert the diameter symbol. Okay, so there we go. We got a 16 diameter, got 25 diameter. Okay, now remember, we have our construction lines turned off. We put them on, you can see what we've got in here. Okay, so we turn that off. And remember, we built all that with polar coordinates. Okay, so let's go to our text and let's put some text in here. First of all, let's grab the text and let's put polar. Polar coordinates. Okay, and that is right there. Okay, now let's put some M text in here, and let's put isometric. View. Isometric view. And let's move that to a 4 size for height. Okay. And let's put that. You can see the yellow line, the top of the text, right there. And move the other yellow line to the center line. Try to line up your text. There we go. Okay, so let's put some lines under that. Let's go with a 2-point line, and let's do free snap, and we'll snap there, and let's restrain the horizontal, and let's snap there. Okay, let's underline this one, and let's restrain the horizontal, and let's snap there. Okay, so these were all of our construction lines. All we really need now is to fill out our title block. Okay, so a quick way to do this that I like to do, M text, we're going to go with a size 3, I think, and we're going to put in our first block, company. Okay, that's going to be where the company goes. Okay. Say okay to that. We've got to take the horizontal restraint off. Free snaps on. Let's put the company name right in there. Okay? Now, you might need some other things. So, what I like to do is, rather than pulling up the box all the time, we could do that. We could do another one here and say revision. Okay, that's the revision for the drawing, and we could put that right in here. Okay, now we could keep doing that. We could pull up MText again and put in the name. We could put drawn. Drawn by. Okay, and we could fit that in here. Okay, and you could put page number. Okay, to designate page. And you could have size, but we don't have to keep pulling up the we could just put these texts in here. Okay, and then we could go ahead and change the properties on them like this, and then choose property. Okay, and then we can change it from there. Okay, you see how that changed it there? And then we could have material. Okay, and we could have scale. Okay, and we could have part number. Okay, and we could have approved. And we could have date. And we could have engineer. Okay, and we could have a number of things in these boxes, but you'll notice by doing it this way we ended up having to move some. So let's just select scale. It says to select to move, so let's select some of these to move. Press enter. It says specify a reference point, and we're not going to move it far, so we're just coming in a little bit. And we can delete the original. Okay. Okay, so we can move this one. We can go with the copy move. Select that. Select that. Select that. We're going to move them all a little bit. Okay, we got all those. This one too. Press enter. And the reference point will be just a little bit ahead of where we are. Okay, then deselect, and you see we've moved them all there. Okay, I noticed this one could be moved a little bit, so let's do that while we're at it. Hit enter on the keyboard, select a reference point, move that back a bit. Okay, and deselect. Okay, so there we go. Okay, so we're pretty much there. We've got our title block all filled out. We do have room here for a company logo or a stamp. If we go over here, there's a little icon here that says insert an image. And if we go here, we could maybe find an image. There's one. Let's open that up. Wow, that's a pretty big image. Okay, so let's go to properties. Let's select that. It's on the text layer. Width is 200. Let me scale this down, okay, to let's make it maybe 30. Okay, and that scales down there. Okay, that's good. Let's roll it up a little bit. Let's go with a move copy. Okay, and let's select to move. That's this one. Hit enter on your keyboard and put the specify target point. Let's do an end snap right down here. Delete the original. Okay. Okay. There it is there. Make sure you have an image that is able to be fit in there, and play with that a little bit. You will get your image to fit in there, so you can see that you can insert an image as a company logo if you have one. Now, another thing we might do here before we turn these off is actually, let's move this polar coordinate piece here to the text layer so that it stays on when we shut the construction layer off. Okay, so let's just select this, everything here, and let's get the attributes, and let's move it to the text layer. Okay, and now let's shut off the construction lines, get them out of our way, and there you have it. Okay, so there you have it, folks. Congratulations. You've drawn 3 views of this mechanical bushing, and it's been a challenging beginner's tutorial, but you've successfully completed it, and you've done very well. Now, I did tell you in the beginning that we were using a PDF file tutorial, this one here, that you can download yourself if you want. Here is the address online. I will also put this in the description of the video, this link, okay? I also did tell you that I was using an updated version of LibreCAD. If you see here, I am using version 2.2.0 RC3. Now, if you would like to get an updated version of LibreCAD before the public release is available, I will show you how you can easily do that. If you go online to LibreCAD at GitHub, Okay, you go to GitHub, LibreCAD, and then go down the page to the releases and click on the releases here, and you can see that we have release candidates, release candidate 2, release candidate 220. I drew that using the latest release candidate, this one here. Now if I click on this here link, I get access to different types of this file. Here is an app image. This is the one I was using to draw this tutorial. However, there is source code here, and you could, if you like, you could download the source code and build the file yourself, or like I did, just download the app image and make it executable and run the app image. It seems to work just fine on my Domain Buster here. If you choose to use source code, then you will go to LibreCAD, and they have a whole page there on detailed how to build from source. Okay, so if you go to this link here, github.com, LibreCAD, wiki key, build from source. And you'll see there how you can download the source and easily compile it yourself, and then you can run that and you'll have yourself the updated LibreCAD application. Okay, so thanks for viewing this LibreCAD Beginners tutorial by howtopam. Let's talk Linux. If you like this, please watch for other videos that we're producing here, and maybe give us a thumbs up, or maybe even subscribe to our YouTube channel, or give us a shout out on Twitter at howtopam on Twitter. Thank you for all your support, and thank you for viewing. And this has been another tutorial by howtopam. Thanks for viewing.